I've just got out of bed. I've thrown on some clothes and I've come outside to grab Dawn because I'm just at the point of dawn and it feels appropriate to do this video at this point, half asleep, because I feel that for the last 27 years I've been in a massive apprenticeship and this massive learning curve to understand the human condition, to teach and to help people at this point in time to understand that we're moving into a new understanding of humanity, a new way of understanding being and of consciously being awake, really. And I wanted to talk about that, and that's why I wanted to do it around dawn. It just felt appropriate that as the world began to wake up, I could talk about this mass awakening of humanity and what that actually means. And what it is that it's as big as when we went from understanding the earth wasn't flat, that it was round, and we wouldn't fall off if we kept walking or going in the boat. We'd actually go round. And this is the same huge thing, which is that we've had like this, the religions that have tried to tell us what consciousness is and have come up with these stories and philosophies and understandings around it. We've had science that's tried to tell us what the world of matter is and have come up with philosophies and understandings and things around it. And now we're having to merge those two. We're having to understand that consciousness deserves its own science. That as we move forward, consciousness is going to be the key for human beings to actually understand not only our emotional world and our spiritual being, or the spirit of a human being, and how consciousness affects our every being, but consciousness also affects our physical health. It affects the substance around us. Everything has a consciousness. Everything has a connection to each other and the consciousness around everything else. And consciousness is no longer something that we can say is connected to the brain or exists only in the brain. And we can no longer come to consciousness as a belief structure. It's now needing to become an understanding. How can I understand it to go deeper into the world, deeper into learning about how to bring new technologies, new sensibilities, new ways of mental health, physical health, etc. There has been a huge movement in physical health, in mental health, and in science, with people starting to wake up to the power of consciousness. So Joe Dispenza's been talking about this for a long time. Deepak Chopra has been. They were both medical doctors that woke up to consciousness and understood how important it is. You've got a lot of spiritual teachers moving into talking more about consciousness and the power, like I don't know how long ago, maybe 20 or 30 years ago, we started to really understand that we were creating our reality, and that has become more and more and more true. So at the moment, the global humanity, so people on this earth, are starting to have this huge impact from a world pandemic that's hit us, and as a result, a lot of the communities around the world are self-isolating or social isolating, and it's forced people to really spend more time with themselves. And those people that have been doing work and understanding the self and understanding that how they can create their own reality, or that they're in control of how they feel about things, or they've learnt techniques and skills to really understand themselves on a deeper level, are actually doing well. And a lot of them are enjoying the time and really transforming and diving deep into all kinds of new experiences. But those that are stuck in the materialistic world, or the world of this is happening to me, or this is really hard, why is it so hard? Those people are starting to find it really difficult. So what's really needed right now is people to understand, how can I look after myself emotionally and what is the depth of this, and also what is consciousness. Consciousness is the essence that is in everything, that is the literal life force, the vibration in everything. So everything is conscious, and the consciousness itself is awake to itself in different forms. So within the tree, it's kind of conscious of being a tree, or conscious of the stuff around it to an extent, in a way that we can't imagine. So it's feeling itself in existence. It doesn't have the same capacity to contemplate as a human, but definitely feels itself in existence and can be spoken to in that place. And if you speak to a tree or a plant in their experience of existence, they will talk to you back in their experience of existence. And when I say talk back, time for us to start to realize that there are so many ways of communicating. It's not just about verbal words, it's also about this deeper sense of feeling. And when we connect to feeling, when we connect to this sense of knowing, this sense of otherness, we get information from things, from the consciousness, in a way that is I think to most people it seems like magical. It seems like something that they either believe in or they don't believe in. And as I said before, the time for whether you believe in this or not is kind of over. What's important is to start to understand, how do I find this to be true? Like, what are the things, how can I look at this stuff and see what shows me what is true and not true? Not, okay, how can I believe this or not believe it or whatever. It's not about belief anymore. It's about, let's look at what's working and not working. We still don't have the technologies to fully, in a scientific way, prove things in the way that we have normally seen science as being, proven. We are starting to get those technologies, but we don't have them fully. The best way for us to actually believe in, well, not believe, but to understand things is through our experience. So I'm asking you all to become your own scientist, to become your own research fellow, to actually look at, what is it here that I can see and observe and understand and go, that is what it is true. So what's happening for humanity is this understanding of consciousness, and consciousness is in everything, right? So what it is, electromagnetic energy, or whatever you like to call it, that's vibrating in everything. It has its own innate intelligence. It's fully present, omnipresent in every part of time and space, fully in itself in that moment, and it's always unfolding, and it's completely unbound. It's unbound conscious being of energy that is in everything. And when you learn to connect to that, when you learn the feeling of it, when you understand that plants and animals and even the things in your house are all connected to it, your life begins to change, because you begin to be able to feel your animals in a different way and really communicate with them. You begin to feel plants, and you can actually communicate to plants on a level that, is quite amazing. You can communicate to people's souls, and you can actually talk to people about things on a deeper level, so you can feel what's going on for someone and help them work it out, which is what I've been doing for years and years. And people call me the magic lady. This is not magic. This is something that you can all learn. It's about waking up and going deeper, deeper, deeper into the self. And a huge part of that is, and when I talk about the self, I'm not talking about individualism. I'm talking about the self as consciousness, separate from what we think is the personality. The personality is what has come from our consciousness, which is when we were born, we were just this pure bundle of feeling and experiencing the energy of everything. And then as we grew up, we were taught this is that, and this is that. This is sadness. This is happiness. This is, a tree. This is this. This is how you do this. And then from those experiences and from the things that we were taught, that shaped who we think we are, and we began to have a personality. And then what happens is we know the story of our personality. So we know, oh, when I was a child, nobody hugged me, so that's why I hate hugs now, or whatever the story is. And then we remember that story, we go back into the story over and over again. So those of us that think people don't like us, or nobody likes me, or I always have a hard time. And we keep going through that story. And because of our consciousness is so powerful, when you bring your awareness or consciousness to a story or to an idea or to a thing, it starts to manifest in the world. That's how it works. It manifests in the world. And most people don't understand how powerful they are. They don't understand how they need to learn to train their brains. They need to learn how to actually keep these thoughts on track, or to not go with the thoughts and to follow the thought that they feel is going to help them, and the rest of them just let them scatter like birds, or sort of listen to it like the chatter of the dawn, the birds that are chattering in dawn, rather than giving it so much weight. Because it's up to you how you drive how you drive your life. And until we actually begin to understand this, we're giving power over. And last century, and even in we didn't have a sense of individualism as we do now, that there's a sense of, the individual person rather than the community, until it wasn't even named, it wasn't even a concept to 1840. And, and now, like last century, through the admin, we were taught how to be consumers, and we were taught to have desires and wants. Before that, we had needs, and we met our needs, and we had simple needs. And, we needed a roof to live under, we needed a bed, we needed a few clothes, a few shoes, and we didn't have desires and wants, and we didn't feel a need to express ourselves with hundreds of pieces of clothing or jewelry or the latest perfume or car or whatever. That was taught to us. We were taught to be consumers. We were taught that we had a sense of worth. I mean, that's the biggest fucking con in the... It's actually caused so much pain, not only to humanity, because as soon as you say, what's your self-worth like, if people have a lot of money and they think that that's really important and they're feeling like they're on top of everything, they'll feel like their self-worth's really good. But most people come to self-worth and there's a pause, because it's not a true measure of a human being. What's a true measure of a human being is how valuable you are. Who values you, and what do you value, and what's the value that you're having in your life? That's what matters, and even if you're at a point in your life where, things are a little bit hard, you'll always remember something that you did that was valuable, or someone that who finds you valuable at some point in your life, or an animal that loves you and finds you valuable. Because value is the true measure of a human being, not worth. We have been conned into seeing things in a way that keep us disconnected from our power, disconnected from our magical sense of connection to consciousness and connection to creation. And we need to wake up and change this. And as we do this, and as we start to live a life connected to consciousness, and now I'm going to bring in the bit that's really important, and that is when consciousness hits the human heart in its pure form, love is felt. Love, this overriding sense of love, peace, well-being. So really, commitment to consciousness is commitment to living a life of love, commitment to love. And that's what I want to call humanity to, is committing your life to love, to live in a way that is conducive to well-being and love, and not on an individual level, but as in humanity and with the earth. So Gaia, or I like to call her Gaia, but the earth is a living and has a living being and is actually able to be felt and spoken to. And this isn't like fairyland. This isn't dream time that we've said, Aboriginal people had dream time. Dream time is a real place. This is a reality. Consciousness will speak to you if you have a way of going inside to yourself in a deeper place and going into that space within yourself where you are in the consciousness and away from your understanding of personality, but actually seeing yourself as bigger and being awake to consciousness, you can actually access all levels of things that exist within this consciousness, which includes the earth and plants and sentient beings and extra, like beings from other planets and everything. Like, it's an amazing place, and humanity's moving into this, and the more that we do it, the more we will start to move into peace, because you can't put your finger on the trigger to create a bomb if you're living in your heart space. You just can't. We need to start living in our heart spaces. We need to understand that love and consciousness is the only way forward for humanity, including science. Like, consciousness, all of the science, all of the understanding of the universe, all of the things that you wanted to create, that all sits in consciousness. So how do we do consciousness? One of the most powerful ways is to meditate, meditate, meditate. Very many different ways of meditating, waking yourself up. Meditating can also be just conscious awareness of yourself in the moment. You can have mindfulness is a very powerful meditation tool. Being mindful, being awake, being in the now. Okay, that's my rant. Wake up, humanity. It's time to live a conscious life. And as you can see, the dawn has come. We've got the birds rising, singing and saying wake up, and the sun's coming out, and that's the same with humanity right now. We are waking up, and like, there's a lot of us, so please join the revolution of consciousness and commit your life to love and really understand the depth that you can help us all live in. It's a very special place. Much love to you all.